Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of FIRE, Black Press USA's live stream. U.S. Representative Donald Payne Jr. is a Democratic congressman representing New Jersey's 10th Congressional District, which covers portions of Essex, Hudson, and Union counties. A Newark, New Jersey native, he has served the people of the 10th Congressional District since 2012. Representative Payne is a tireless fighter for New Jersey families, working to create jobs and grow the economy, protect and invest in our children, and ensure the health and safety of our communities. As chairman of the Homeland Security Subcommittee on Emergency Preparedness, Response, and Recovery, Representative Payne has built a record of achievement in a divided Congress. He introduced two bills that were signed into public law by President Barack Obama, including the Department of Homeland Security Interoperable Communications Act of 2015, which ensures that the Department of Homeland Security personnel can reliably communicate during emergencies. It is our privilege to welcome U.S. Rep. Donald Payne Jr. Welcome.
Stacey, thank you for having me, and I'm very impressed that it took me 5 years to figure out the word interoperability, but you hit it on the first note. That's great. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. It's a lot to talk about, but the pressing things on everyone's mind, and we'll start with the census. They cut this short. It's this month, is it? Could you just again reiterate how important is the census and your thoughts on it being cut short?
Yeah, once again, this administration, in their dastardly ways, have curtailed the opportunity for people to exercise their right to be counted. And we need in our communities to do a better job of getting people counted and have them understand why it's so important. Everything that the federal government does is tied to the census because it's based on numbers. And so, money coming back to your community for roads, the money for food stamps, everything is used by that enumeration number from the census. So we need people to understand how important it really is. It's the way that you get back the dollars that you pay to the federal government and taxes back to your community. So if you're not counted, it's a really devastating thing to communities. And we know that in my district, there's still predominantly Black cities and towns with census rates around 50%, and that's can be really devastating to the future of what happens with us in this country.
Yeah, and I know the Congressional Black Caucus as a whole has been really encouraging people to participate in the census. How's it looking in your district? Have they brought you up to speed on how things are going in your district?
Well, we continue to push the census every week, every way we can. There are different groups on the ground that are going into communities and talking to people about doing it. We're trying to get influential, people on the ground, people in the hoods, in the neighborhoods that are influential and people listen to. Sometimes people don't respond to public officials as well as they do with people, in the neighborhood that they respect. So we're reaching out to those people to tell, our people that this is something that needs to happen. We are at about 47% in Newark and other communities surrounding it. So we really have to really continue to push. This is the last month. And, the Trump administration, once again, was supposed to go out till October, but then they quietly cut it back to September again. So, this administration takes any opportunity it can to damage what happens in our communities.
Yeah, and Representative Payne, obviously you took office in 2012, but you've been around politics a lot longer. I ask this question a lot. Have you seen anything to compare this administration with in recent history?
Nothing at all. This is, I didn't even realize that people could function in this manner, that there actually was a person like Donald Trump. He is the epitome. Now I know what narcissism is. It's just incredible. This country is really at a crossroads with this president. And, when he took office on January 20th, I really was concerned about the fate of this country. After 2 or 3 months, you talk over the years about how fragile democracy is and how much we have to keep working at it. Well, I really understood what that meant once he took office. At 2 months into his tenure, I was worried that, was this country going to end? Was this democracy, was this experiment finally going to fail? And it was really frightening. But different entities took over, and the system is older, and the Supreme Court stepped in and stopped the Muslim ban and these crazy notions that the president was enacting. So there are checks and balances, and we've been fortunate to hold it together. But I really was concerned with Donald Trump taking office and where this country was going, and still are a bit concerned. If we aren't careful and he's reelected, all the strides that we've made and President Obama moved this country forward in, it'll take another 2 generations to get back to where we were.
Wow. Are you surprised? And maybe it's not the right way to ask this question. I just want to stay on the topic for one moment on the president. When it comes to African Americans supporting Trump, are you surprised?
For the life of me, I can't figure it out. I mean, this person is one of the most detrimental people to the African American community that I've ever seen. I've heard of others, but in my lifetime, it's incredible. I don't understand what they see in him and that is positive in their lives. I just, for the life of me, if they don't understand what he's about and what he's trying to do, then he's the best snake oil salesman I've ever seen in my life.
Is it I don't want to put words in your mouth, Congressman. Is it that plantation mentality, that that house slave mentality? I mean, you hate to be so blunt, but like you, many people have expressed that they just can't understand. We know that he'll get a few percentage of specifically African American men. We've seen at his speech at the White House last week during the RNC, which is it's another story. Holding a political event at the White House is supposed to be against the Hatch Act, but we saw individuals like Ben Carson, of course, Darryl Strawberry, former baseball legend. We've seen Herschel Walker make his statements in support of Trump. It just seems that something's missing. Are we missing something? Or are they missing something?
I think they're missing their minds. I don't know. Maybe narcissism runs rampant in athletes as well. I don't know what affinity they see in Trump. Maybe that he does what he wants, he says what he says, he does whatever he needs, and maybe they kind of think, hey, yeah, that's the kind of guy I want to be. This man is a detriment to the African American community, and to have Black men supporting him, the people that he wants to destroy the most, Black men, they support him. It is just unfathomable what they're thinking. It's for the life of me, I just cannot figure it out.
Yeah, and you're plugged in, obviously, globally. What's the world? How does the world look at us now, at America now?
They're asking us, have we lost our minds? I mean, they can't, they can't figure it out. All that we stand for, all that, we've espoused over the years to have this person, they're asking, how did he get elected? How did he become the president of the United States? It's contrary to everything they were led to believe or thought we were, or even had experienced in interacting with this country. And it's just all gone out the tube. That, a lot of them laugh at us as well. It's really, is a destabilizing issue around the world, because if the United States is led by a person like this, the rest of the world is like, my goodness, this person has the nuclear codes. I mean, it's just very destabilizing and frightening for the entire world, and it really makes us a joke. He loves Kim Jong-un. I mean, they're sending love letter. I mean, Putin. I mean, can you imagine everything that we've been taught about in this country? Communism. That used to be a slur, for against Black people. When they wanted to insult you, they called you a communist. You commie. And now they're hugging up with him. I mean, it's so contrary to everything that, Russia's bad. Russia's the worst. We have to defend ourselves against Russia. Now, Russia's not that, it's unreal. It's unreal.
And he's, he's shown a true disregard. We won't even go into the lack of respect, but a true disregard for women of color, all women really, but especially women of color. He's in he threatened Mayor Muriel Bowser in DC with withholding federal funding. When you hear that, withhold federal funding from the nation's capital, and really because it's a Black woman mayor, what's your response to that?
Well, first of all, we're not going to let it happen. He doesn't control the purse strings. First of all, he needs to understand how the government of the United States works. To be president of the United States, I think President Obama's greatest point in his speech last week was when he said that Donald Trump, he thought Trump would grow into the job, but he hasn't, because he's just incapable. I mean, he doesn't even know the rules, the laws, and how this government functions. I mean, just rudimentary things. He doesn't even understand. We control the purse strings. So, he can talk all he wants, but at the end of the day, we never let that happen. And that's what Black people need to understand, that think they want to support him for some reason. He has a disdain for the African American community, a total disdain. So why would we put any faith or allegiance behind a person who is looking to your continued demise? And so, I hope people understand really what we're up against and what we're facing with this president being in the White House. And hopefully we go out and vote in numbers as we did under President Obama and remove this person from office.
Yeah, we're talking with Representative Donald Payne Jr. from the great state of New Jersey, state I live in.
Right.
COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on everyone. What has it been like for your constituency? What have you seen, and what's the latest out of New Jersey?
Well, Governor Murphy, who as the leader of the state, has done an exceptional job in trying to keep the residents of New Jersey safe. We were hit very hard in the beginning. New York was going through it, but New Jersey was hammered just as hard, and very difficult in the beginning. So many deaths. Our senior citizens' homes were ravaged, and we had a senior citizens' home in New Jersey where 17 people died in a 2-day period, and really devastating. But it appears that we're turning a corner. I believe that just in the last 2 days that we were going into phase 4, where they're reopening restaurants for indoor service. But I'm concerned about the weather getting cooler and changing, and we'll be forced indoors more once again with the winter coming, and an uptick in the virus, afflicting people. With this being outside and having the space has been one of the ways that it has dissipated. So with us going back inside, really concerned about an uptick. So people really need to, continue to use the protocols, social distancing. Please wear a mask. Please wear a mask. It's so important. And you look and see when the mask has been put in place, how dramatically the numbers have dropped. So we really need to really push the issue. I see people in some communities that aren't doing it, and I just kind of shake my head and try to, approach them and say, you really need to wear a mask. Some people kind of resent it, but it's for your own safety and health and the safety of other people. So I can't reiterate that enough, that please wear a mask. My situation, I'm have a compromised immune system, diabetic, have high blood pressure, and also I am a dialysis patient. So
in other words, you're a Black man.
There you go. Exactly. And I have 3 of the 4 major causes for death from coronavirus. So I've been playing it pretty safe and doing a lot of my work from home, and thank goodness for Zoom and opportunities like this to get out, and really appreciate you having us on today. But it's just a very serious time. Hopefully we will come up with a vaccine that can curtail this and get back to our lives the way we remember them.
Yeah, and schools are in New Jersey. I know that many of the districts are following a hybrid model in which kids are in school one week and then they're doing virtual the following week. But overall, your thoughts on the return to school? Is it safe enough?
That's a good question. We've seen examples of where we might have to continue to use this hybrid method. I believe it was University of Alabama went back into school and found almost 500 cases within a week. And so, there obviously needs to be precautions taken. Nobody wants to see our most precious people in our communities, our children, our little ones, put in situations where they're unsafe, and the teachers as well. We need to make sure that they're safe too. So I think, precaution is the way to go. And if we find that it's not safe, then we need to just, respect the data and find a way to do it safely.
You know, we obviously spent some time talking about the president, but it's still interesting to hear your thoughts on how you feel the pandemic has been managed at the federal level.
Unfortunately, I think we could do a much better job. You know, we in the House of Representatives and the Congressional Black Caucus have been, loud voices echoing the need to be safe and make sure that our most vulnerable populations are taken care of. It has really been quite a task. And in my capacity as the chairman of the Emergency Preparedness, Response, and Recovery, which is a committee that deals with any man-made or natural disaster. Well, this is absolutely a natural disaster. And so I've been working diligently on ways to, in the beginning, the major problem was getting PPEs to, essential workers. And that was something that we worked on very diligently. And coming to find out that we probably need to reassess our supply chains and certain things that we need to start manufacturing again to make sure that we have them rather than relying on China or some other country in order to have these goods. It's just too important for us not to have to turn to someone and then, not have the resources that we need in order to keep our people safe. So that was something that I worked on a great deal with. And also I actually came up with a bill that talked about essential workers and paying them hazard pay. And, my work with Homeland Security, we had TSA, the TSA officers at the airport coming into contact with thousands of people a day. And, so I came up with a bill that would pay them, on top of their regular pay because of the risk that they were taking. And also we looked at those type of things. And, but it's interesting, most of the essential workers come down to being people of color. Your teachers, your janitors, people that your bus drivers, people that couldn't take off work and were told if they didn't come to work that they wouldn't be paid. So they were put in a dangerous situation on top of that. And so I felt that they should be paid, a bit more than in normal situations. So it's interesting that we get it on both ends. We have to go to work, but then we don't get compensated for it, and we're taking the most risk. Our healthcare workers had to be at work, and can you imagine having to use a garbage bag as opposed to a cloak,
Right.
or a sock for a mask? I mean, it was just a dire situation, and people of color are on the front lines because we're the ones that have to go to work. So I thought it was important that we compensate them in a manner for they were working in dire situations. So
Yeah, Congressman, one of our viewers first, he thought it was an unfair question to ask you about whether kids should it's safe for kids to return to school. But Amir Demeke does ask, and I probably didn't pronounce his last name right there, but he asked a question of how do we, the younger brothers and sisters, work to determine more senators who look like us and who will advocate for a better America within the next 2 years? What suggestions would you have for that?
Vote. I mean, that's the only way, you can reach out to your elected officials and write them letters and talk to them about the issues that are important to you. You can make appointments to see them. I mean, my door is always open. Right now, we're doing mostly everything through Zoom, but my office has been open. My office is not closed a day since the pandemic has started, and so there's someone always in my office. And it's our job to respond to constituents, but you have to be engaged and involved in the process in order to get your public officials to respond to you. So I would just say contact your congressmen and your senators and let them know how you feel with respect to the job that they're doing, whether you think they're doing enough. You can always make suggestions to them. We, on my level, it's, our job is in our names. We are the House of Representatives. So we represent you in Congress. We are your voice in Congress. So I need to hear from my constituents in order to formulate and articulate the needs for my community and my district. So, please reach out to your public officials and let them know how you feel and let them know the job that you think they're doing or what they can do better or what they're not addressing.
Yeah, and I remain in moments with Congressman Donald Payne Jr. of New Jersey. I want to ask you about Representative John Lewis. Obviously, it was a big loss, and you were talking about voting. What are your recollections, your memories of Congressman Lewis?
Oh, we were very close. I called him one of my fathers on the floor. My father, the late Congressman Donald Payne Sr., served in Congress for 20 years and, worked with Congressman Lewis. And so I got to know him that way. Then when I came to Congress, it was, he's still Mr. Lewis to me. I never could get to calling him John. In fact, that's the way it is with most of my colleagues. They all served my father. So, out of respect, I can't see myself calling Miss Waters Maxine and the same way with Mr. Lewis. But he was very, very close to me since he had the relationship with my father, and just a kind, gentle person. But when he got fired up about an issue, there was no one you would rather have on your side than John Lewis. One of my greatest memories was when we took over the floor of the House of Representatives, and it's against the rules of the House to sit down on the floor of Congress. And Mr. Lewis organized a sit-in on the floor of Congress, and we took over the House of Representatives for 2 days and stayed there for over 30 hours and held the floor in order to try to get a vote on gun violence. The Republicans would not give us a vote on gun violence, so we sat in, attempting to get a vote, and it was just amazing. He just said, "You know what? Sometimes in order to stand up, you have to sit down." And I was like, "Wow!" And it just started from there, just organic. Just a great person, and all he worried about was people and their right to vote. It was ingrained in him. It's almost what he felt like he was born to do, was to fight for every person's right to vote. And we know the stories of what he went through as a young man, the number of times that I think he said he went to jail over 40 times, and I think 3 times as a congressman. So, that's consistency. He never changed. He never stopped fighting the fight that he felt he was put on earth for. Just a great, kind man. It was really devastating. I lost another one of my fathers on the floor of the Congress.
Yeah, we are certainly sorry for your loss and America's loss. John Lewis truly was a loss to the nation, and we really appreciate you, Congressman. Keep up the great work. We Always enjoy talking to members of the Congressional Black Caucus, and it's a privilege to talk to a congressman from my state. Thanks a lot, Congressman Donald Payne Jr. Everybody, thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay well.